Hello everyone and welcome to another Naraka Bladepoint video. This is OSK and today we're going to be taking a look at the new map HOLOROTH, specifically all of the new features that have entered the game as of its release. HOLOROTH introduced a lot of great features that I think you guys will find a lot of use for in your matches. Also a lot of hazards that you'll want to watch out for. So both benefit and negative, we have to go through it all so that you know exactly how to play in this new patch. And I know some of you have been dying to know the solution of that puzzle and salvation podium with the eagle statues. Don't worry, we're going to be getting right to it here in today's video. So make sure you watch until the very end so you do not miss a single feature or tip. Now with that being said, if you enjoyed today's video, please be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Also comment down below and share with your friends if you think it's useful enough. And now, before we get started, as always, thank you so much for watching. And let's get into the video. Now the way we're going to order this is we're going to have hazards up front, we're going to have boons right in the middle, we're going to have weather, and then we'll get into the puzzle right at the end. So starting off, we have spikes. Spikes can be found on either the floor or the ground, and they are found in these locations. You'll notice them by this metal weave here on the ground, along with these 4 pyramid looking things in the corners of the weave. Whenever the spikes are primed and ready to go, you will see them poke out of the weave ever so slightly, and whenever someone steps on them, they will be knocked back and damaged, and the spikes also have a reset of about 12 seconds. Obviously, this is not a feature you're ever going to want to direct yourself into unless you're being chased by an enemy. In this case, I would say just make sure if you're trying to bait somebody that you either have an attack ready to go or anything like that, because they are very easy to spot and I don't think they'll help you very much whenever you're in the middle of a fight, so be aware of that. Next we have the trap clips, which look like bear traps. The trap clips can be found in these locations. You can set them by holding down your interact key. Once the trap is fully set, if an enemy walks into it, they will be unable to use grapples and will appear on your map every 2 seconds for 30 seconds total. When you come across a trap clip, it is a good idea to go ahead and set one, as any enemy that gets close to it will appear on your map for that amount of time and will be unable to grapple away. So if you're good at combat, you can get an easy kill if you're quick enough. And in any case, having map knowledge of where one player is can be invaluable in certain situations. Next we have the sand konjac, which can be found here on your map. If a player is near these little flowers and they get hit, then they will be blinded for a short while, and that looks like this. Keep in mind you can still very clearly see focus attacks while you're in here and the outline of players, but everything else is pretty well obscured. Just bear in mind that it is a slight blinding and not a full blinding, so they won't be completely defenseless if you try to attack them. Next we have the cactus, which can be found in this specific location on your map. There are quite a lot of them when you find the right area, and whenever they are hit, they explode these little cactus spikes for a good while. In fact, if you roll back into it after getting knocked back the first time, you can get hit a second time. If you happen to lure a fight here, just be aware of all the cactuses around you, and if you lure your opponent in the right place, then they can get hit by a cactus spine and then followed up on with another attack. It can be quite useful in a pinch if you need it. Next we have the ice cones, which can be found in this specific location on your map. These behave exactly like plaques from Celestra on the Morris Isle map, and if you get hit by one on your head, you'll be stunned for a short period of time, unable to do anything. If you're hunting someone down or you're the one being hunted, this can be a great way to stop your opponent in their tracks and get off a few free hits. Just be aware that these are only found in certain overhang areas, so if you can avoid it, I would avoid going under any arches with any of these ice cones in it. Next we have the first creature on our list, the frost moth. This can be found in this specific stretch of the map. If an opponent hits the frost moths while you are near them, they will freeze you exactly like Justina's ultimate, and you will be frost immune for a while. Just keep in mind that while you are frozen, you do still take the same amount of damage as you normally would, so these can be very useful to either freeze an opponent in their tracks if you find a fight way out here, or vice versa. Next we have the chandelier, which is only found in the plumed castle. There's only one of these and it can only happen once per match. If you happen to be hit by the chandelier, just keep in mind that it can do upwards of blue armor's full worth of shields. In any case, you would have to be standing in the same location for quite a while for you to get hit by the chandelier, so it's not something you'll normally be worried about unless you're in the early game. So just keep an eye on it and make sure that you don't hear a loud noise and you don't stand under it for too long at any single point in time. If you happen to catch someone unaware with it, this can be a great way to get an early advantage in the early game so that you can snag some extra loot. Our next hazard is the Thorny Roller, and it can be found at these locations on your map. Now, unlike my HOLOROTH preview video whenever I hopped on the test server, the Thorny Roller has been nerfed to only hit you once with any single pass. You'll be able to hear it loud and clear whenever it gets near, and it will only hit you once as it passes through you. Just make sure you're aware of the rotation speed, as whenever you do get hit by it, it can reset you in a bad situation if you're in the middle of a fight, for example, so just keep an eye on it whenever you're in these specific areas. Next we have the Pendulum, which is reminiscent of the Through the Fire mode, the Fall Guys collaboration. They can be found only in Matab in this specific location. They essentially do the same thing as Through the Fire. Whenever you get hit by them, they'll knock you back quite a ways and can knock you off of the bridge of Matab, and you can just grapple back. No harm done. There's not really a practical use for these unless you're running away from an opponent, so just be aware of them as you pass through the Matab area and you should be fine. And that concludes our hazard section. Let's get into the boons. The first one will be the Rising Wind, which you may have already run into if you've played HOLOROTH. This is located in these locations and also spawn during sandstorms, and whenever you run through them, if you happen to jump, you'll be able to jump a lot higher than you normally would. In my experience, I have found that Rising Wind sometimes will deactivate after you jump through them the first time, but some will still stay active even though you've jumped through them. So just pay attention, as if you're running away from an opponent, you might be jumping over a Rising Wind vent that does not deactivate after a single jump. So be aware of that and play accordingly. Next we have Ice, which was spotted during our Frostmoth section. This will boost your speed and also your sliding distance, allowing you to slide on the ground by holding down the crouch button much further than you normally would. There is one waterway towards the western side of the map where the Frostmoths are found, and also the Ice Shard Lake, which is up to the north. The lake itself is pretty fun to slide around on, so if you happen to find a fight up there, just have fun with it. Next we have the Firefly Cage, which looks like this. This is found all throughout the map and will grant you rage if you hold down the interact key. Full rage takes a while to accumulate, and while this does speed it up, it only speeds it up a little bit, so you'll need to be aware of your surroundings and make sure that it's not too dangerous to do. The good news is that the Firefly Cage has a lot of juice in it, so even if you fill up with it once, it still may be active for you to reactivate it a second time. So make sure you mark it on your map when you spot one and keep it handy. Next we have the Sand Pear, which is found all over the map through these little bushes. They increase both attack and defense, so a nice combination of the Prickly Pear and the Salak from Morris Isle. These are always useful, so be sure to pick one up if you happen to pass one. Next we have the Snow Lotus, which is found in icy areas. This is used to cleanse all debuffs from your character. So if you're poisoned or anything like that, please be sure to hit up the Snow Lotuses if you happen to come across them. Interesting enough, these are located in areas where poison isn't really that big of a factor, so I don't really see a big use for them, but they are there if you need it. Next we have these killable creatures, which can be found all over the map. If you happen to hear any rustling nearby, there's a good chance that there's one there. They will drop some random loot like soul jades and item bag upgrades, so make sure that you give them a good whacking. If you happen to be near watery areas, there are these koi fish that can spawn, and these will grant koi bonanza, which increases luck for the entire rest of the match. So if you happen to come across one, be sure to get it, because it will grant you some better loot if you happen to open up more troves. And speaking of troves, we're going to hop into our weather section. The first is the SNOWSTORM, which will spawn new troves whenever it comes online. And this will give you a new meter in the top right below your minimap called Chill. Whenever Chill gets too high, it will start draining your ultimate rage, so make sure you keep an eye on it. Another thing to note is that usually in snowstorm areas, there will be campfires that spawn around, which will eliminate the full meter of your Chill. So if you happen to be getting cold feet and maybe shivering around, make sure you hit up a campfire to reset that chill meter, as it will allow you to recharge rage once you do so. Another thing to note is that if you've already activated your ultimate, the snowstorm will not affect it in any way, so it might be a good idea to pre-ult before you go into a snowstorm or before you get the full chill effect, so that you don't miss any value once you get in there. Lastly, as you may have guessed, snowstorms only occur in the snowy areas of the map, which can be found here in these circled areas. Next, we have the Sandstorm, which can be found over to the west in this ravine area near Matab and the other desert areas. This will also spawn new tropes, but instead of granting a chilling effect, it will spawn Rising Wind. And in case you forgot, Rising Wind allows you to gain more airtime whenever you jump through one, so keep that in mind as you go through the sandstorm. It also has this increased wind effect, which is purely cosmetic, but does look pretty cool. And the final weather effect that we have for this list is the Ghostly Mist, which exclusively spawns in these locations. Whenever these spawn, they will spawn ghostly hands, which if you get hit by one, will silence you for a short while and knock you back, so make sure you're aware of it. They're pretty easy to spot though, so just make sure you don't run into one on accident and you should be fine. And that's going to do it for our weather section. And now finally, the moment you've all been waiting for. The final Easter egg, the final feature of the HOLOROTH map is the SUNWING statue puzzle. If you've ever been to the Salvation Podium directly south of the Plumed Castle, you may have noticed these rotating SUNWING statues, and if you haven't, thank you for watching this video, because now you're going to learn something very special. In order to solve the puzzle, what you'll need to do is go underneath the statue either to the west or to the east. Whenever you get in there, you'll notice that there is a thorny roller there ready to eat your lunch at any moment. What you'll need to do is follow the track all the way around, and underneath each statue there will be a glowing glyph arrow that will show you which direction to face each statue. Now the way that I like to do this is I go in on the eastern side and I start from the bottom right statue, go to the top right, then the top left, and then the bottom left. Whenever you see these glyphs, they are showing you which cardinal direction to point each statue. So if you see the arrow pointing left, that means that whatever statue you're under, you'll want to point it towards the west. If it's pointing up, to the north, and so on. Of course, make sure you're dodging the thorny roller at all times or you will get hit for a little bit of damage, but once you know all 4 arrow directions, you can then go up to the statues and start rotating. If you get the statues in the correct alignment, then they will spawn what looks like a Morris Blessing chest there in the middle, but it's much more than that. In this special golden chest are golden weapons, sometimes epic weapons as well, but also there is a chance that it can spawn the elusive, the unique red armor, which is 1 tier above legendary. Whereas legendary armor will have 5 armor bars, this has 6. Furthermore, this is currently the only way in the game to get the red armor, making this a very, very nice drop for any early game fights, or any mid game if no one has claimed it yet. So if you're feeling lucky and you want to try to get a nice little advantage to bring you through the rest of the game, then try to drop in Salvation Podium and try to solve the puzzle, as it will give you what you desire most of the time. Now there is a chance that it doesn't spawn any red armor at all and simply will drop you any rarity of armor or any higher rarity of weapon, so keep that in mind as it may factor into your risk reward. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is going to do it for today's video. Every single new feature in the new map HOLOROTH. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked the video, please be sure to leave a like and subscribe and do all that sort of stuff. And also comment down below if you enjoyed and let me know what your favorite new feature is in the new map HOLOROTH. Also, a big thank you to TACHMONITE from my Discord. Thank you so much. He got on late with me last night to go ahead and get some footage for you guys in a custom, so make sure you thank him down there in the comments as well. Also, if you found this video helpful, make sure you share it to your friends, as that is the best way to support me in YouTube's wonderful algorithm. And lastly, if you'd like to join and become a channel member like this lovely gentleman up here, Gabriel Amaya, then make sure that you hit the join button right there down by the subscribe. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to conclude this video. Thank you guys again so much for watching. I've been OSK. Y'all have a great day, and I'll see you all out there.
I know life is getting harder. Not like I would choose another. My tears and healing powers. Just one drop to recover. Can't stop me cause I'm the phoenix.